Good morning. Welcome to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. We are back in the studio after a special edition out at the track, also always supplying timely information and resources for entrepreneurs and small business owners ready to start and grow a successful business. We also invite you into the conversations with business owners, stakeholders, community leaders whose stories are meant to inspire, inform, empower, and more. We group our information every week into 7 basic important categories: getting started, accessing capital, the week in business to keep you informed on current events, accounting and bookkeeping, tips to help you run your business day to day. We also focus on one industry and share a local success story. We're here every Sunday on Wish TV and streaming live on wishtv.com. We'll also post each of our 7 weekly segments on our website, which is BE&O but save yourself some key clicks and you'll see a QR code appearing throughout the show, which will conveniently take you straight to that site. So here's what's coming up today on Business Equity and Opportunity. Helping women entrepreneurs find new pathways to success. A local farm providing hope and job training to people with intellectual disabilities. An event focusing on training for high-demand career paths. Father and son coffee roasters, brewing with a purpose. And our success story looks at the history of White River Park. We are getting started with a look into strength-based team coaching and one of the leading coaches for women entrepreneurs.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
My name is Evgenia Baikova, and I'm business mindset coach. So I help women who just left their corporate world and they're building something for them, but they are doing the right things, but just stuck in the middle. So this is where I came in, and I am helping them to clear their vision, to pack their offers so that they building business that actually feels good and makes money. Well, before I became a coach, I actually did a bold move. Leaving everything behind and immigrating to the United States, and that was a huge change for me, changing not just the continent, but changing language, culture, people, organization I used to work. Like, everything was so new to me, and that actually made me realize that, well, how can I thrive in that? And I understood by the time that knowing yourself, this is core, and that helped me to become who I am. So that was a huge challenge for me, but I overcame that, and now I can say that I am comfortable being in discomfort. Yeah, so I spent over 20 years being in corporate leadership, and I led people, teams, international projects. So I used to work for huge international organizations before, and I supported teams, I supported employees to be better at what they do. And by the time I realized that, well, something is missed there, and that was about me making deeper impact, not just helping them grow as professionals, but as individuals too. And that was the exact time when I decided, okay, I need to find something that actually fits me, not just the the policies and politics that were represented in corporate world. And that's why I founded Fulfillment Coaching and Consulting. Well, I am working with small organizations, women-led, so that they do not have access to what's accessible for Fortune 500 organization, for example. That's why I'm saying that I'm on a mission to help them get what's available for leaders in Fortune 500 organizations. Executive coaching, different tools like Gallup Strengths Finder, because I believe that women and small organizations and solopreneurs, they deserve the same level of support. So that's my mission. Well, if we talk particularly about the niche that I'm working, women who left their organizations, corporate roles or 9 to 5, what I see is that they're canceling the experiences that they've got before, and they're saying, okay, I'm starting from scratch, which is not true, right? So I teach them how they can use what they already have and start trusting themselves more, so that they more effective, so that they are building something that actually fits them and feels like themselves, and that they're not following someone else's versions of success. Because what made you successful in corporate world doesn't necessarily translate into entrepreneurship. This is my 2nd year, and I prolonged my membership absolutely understanding why I'm doing that, because it's not just community of women, it's not just empowering you, it's not just encouraging you to do more, but I've got there my sense of belonging, Because being an immigrant, new to the country, and looking for some opportunities to be connected with like-minded women, that's the place. And I'm a member of membership committee too. So because, well, I know how it is hard to start your membership there. You know that, well, these are the things that are available, but we are making sure that they're using all the perks that our members are getting. We are also curating some new events for them so that they not just, going to events, but they're getting real help and support. And I'm glad that I was chosen for this project too, because it's an honor to be in the middle of something that really works and making difference, because we're not just celebrating women's success here, but we are paying it further, and I like that. It feels like me. I've always been a servant leader, and it hasn't changed. It's a kind of a calling. And now I do what I was called to. I am the owner of the thing that can help others simplify their life, simplify their business, and finally get results. And I like when I see the results. It's kind of a getting back what I'm giving. So that's probably the thing that I really enjoy doing.
Evgenia Baikova joins other NAWBO leaders in the upcoming NAWBO Indie Boss Ladies magazine coming out June 17th. Also, check out our new Extended Conversations feature on the BE&O podcast. There you'll find more conversations with NAWBO leaders. Coming up this week, Jamelia Brashears is the featured conversation. Up next, we visit a community farm building a future for adults with special needs. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Just north of Zionsville, a unique farm is bringing hope and helping to build a future to adults with special needs.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Hi, I'm Janice Agarwal. I am the founder and executive director of Watches Farm. We're here at our greenhouse at Watches Farm, and what we do is we work with adults who have intellectual disabilities, and we teach them jobs. We are a vocational training program, but we are also a job program, which I think is the differentiate. We don't just train them, we can actually provide the jobs. And we're expanding. We're going to be expanding to a larger vocational program with a huge donation from the Hankey Development Group. And IU Community Grants gave us the money to start the vocational building itself in Boone County. And we want to be able to help the community employ all of these adults that are born and raised in our community. I'm a pediatric physical therapist, and I trained in England at a place called the Bobas Center. And at that time I was in New York, and I was going there. And when I was there, all these families had hope. They were like, yeah, well, when my child grows up, he's gonna work here, he's gonna live here, they're gonna do this. And I'm like, how is that even possible? Because back in New York, even worse here in Indiana, you're lucky to get your child at a group home. That's the, and as a parent, imagine this, you have that beautiful child, and you're like, okay, who are they gonna be when they grow up? Who are they gonna marry? Where are they gonna work, go to school, yada, yada. But then you have a child with a disability. The community tries to help you, but they can't. And after high school, what happens? Nothing. Well, in 1999, I had my own son. And I thought, why can't we have something like that here in Indiana? And so my husband, who's originally from Germany, he's an at IU Health physician there. We went to his family's farm, and at his family's farm, right next door is one of these facilities that, just like ours, that has been there for 3 generations. And as I started working with other organizations and training, I trained families, our parents, how to work with their babies. All over Europe, we were finding these places. And that gives parents hope. Because now when they have that child with a disability, they're like, yeah, but someday they're gonna work here, and they're gonna have friends, and they're gonna have a place to live. And I can die knowing that my kid someday is gonna be okay, and that his siblings, they might sit on the boards and raise money, but they don't have to actually take care of him. And that creates an even better relationship with the siblings, but it gives hope for the family. We're gonna provide that. But we're not just gonna provide the vocational programs, we're gonna provide, it's ag tourism. So you can bring the siblings and you can go to the orchards, or you can do the fall festivals, you can do the events. You can do a lot of different things as a family so that we don't differentiate that person with a disability from anybody else in the family. And that's what the parents feel. From the very beginning, they fight for their IEPs, the IFSPs, for everything this kid goes through. It's a fight for these parents. I don't want that to be a fight. I want that to be an invitation to come out, let's work together, let's figure out what you need, how to get you what you need. And it's okay, Mom, I got your back, and we're gonna help take care of your child. That adult is still their child, and that adult needs help. Some of these adults are amazingly brilliant. They've got degrees, they've got master's degrees. They just don't know how to interact. So we're looking at a variety of people that come here, and we're looking at different kinds of jobs and job opportunities. And then we're looking at employers who say, if I hire them, what happens if something goes wrong? That's not your job. Let's figure out everything that can happen while working in different environments. You may be an astrophysics major, but I'm gonna have you work in the greenhouse because I need to figure out how you work. Getting up every day and going to a job and doing the same thing is a difficult thing to do. And then I'm gonna teach you how to interact with the right people. When something goes wrong, what do you need to do? When something's going right, what do I need to do? So that can actually parlay into a real job someday. Those are real issues that the employers have that we want to kind of correct. We are expanding in Boone County. So the IU grant to create a vocational program and partnering with a lot of the hospitality and a lot of these new manufacturing that's coming in, we can do that. As we talk to these employers, what do you need? And then we hit the high schools. And as those kids are coming out of high school, they can come into our programs. We want to be the best. And so our niche market is going to be a market where people are looking for nutrient-dense foods. Again, we're partnering with Purdue University as we build and expand. My husband does deal with a lot of oncology patients, and I have a son that had cancer. So that's very near and dear to my heart, along with a disability. So what we're looking for is food that, for people especially who are afraid to eat food that's been in the soil, which they don't know what it's come in contact with. For many of them, they cannot eat normal produce, but they can here. Because this is all clean. It's from a well, a nutrient-dense well that comes in here with water. It is grown on felt or rock wool, so you know that it's not getting any kind of bad nastiness in it. The varieties that we grow are very nutrient-dense, but very flavorful. So you're not just eating a salad of iceberg lettuce. Nothing against iceberg lettuce. But our lettuce is so good for you and it tastes so good that you want to be able to eat it. But people can come in the mornings and they come in and they start to learn what they like, and they just come in and they take some bags and they'll take it out, and everything comes out with a root. So you'll see these are called living lettuce. So they'll take that and they'll keep these roots on it and they'll put it in their bag and they'll put a little water, and this is gonna last in their refrigerator for weeks. So now they're coming out, getting their own food, they're picking their own stuff, they know exactly what the whole system looks like. Over here we have a ton of different kind of microgreens, intense flavors, more nutritionally intense than the grown-up version that they represent. But we grow them on felt so that they never hit that dirt, and people just love the flavors. They love to be able to cut their own or eat their own. And we want them to do that. My adults will be here, and if you want help, they'll help you. If you ask them a question, they'll love to answer it, and you may talk your ear off, and that's a good thing. That's what we want. I work a lot of hours. It's hard work to do this, but again, if I don't do it, who's gonna do it? If we don't get this going so that it can be bigger than we are, so that someday, next generation and the following generation, this is continued, if we don't do this, who's going to? So that's why we call on any philanthropic organizations and these companies to say, yes, we want to be included in this, because I can guarantee in any of your companies, you're going to have employees that have someone with a disability. An example is Precision Comfort. The guy who fixes my geothermal has a daughter with a disability. And I'm like, so do you think Precision Comfort could help us out? And he's like, yeah. Went and talked to his boss, and they donated our system. Because someone in that company understands what's going on, and they want opportunities for their beautiful child. So what I want to be able to do, and we're going to work with the Hankies to do this, who do beautiful developments. Let's create beautiful developments for adults with disabilities. Let's create the most beautiful place so that when people see it and they come on the campus and they walk our trails, they're like, we are so blessed here in Zionsville to have this. We want one in Lebanon. We want one in Noblesville. We want one in Greenfield. We want this because this is so beautiful. So we want to be the first. We want you to come to our place and go, I want one just like this.
You will find produce from Watch Us Farm in local restaurants and farmers markets, supporting a good cause at the same time. Coming up, meet the team behind an innovative event that helps people in our community access career paths with higher incomes and personal and business success. That's next on This Week in Business.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Time for This Week in Business. A local agent founded Elevate Real Estate Conference back in 2022, offering free workshops, speakers, training for Indianapolis residents seeking career paths to increase personal and professional wealth. Well, it's still growing strong.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
My name's Car Hale, and I am the organizer of Elevate 2025 conference.
And I'm Tiffany Dearman, and I am the owner and broker of Real Results Real Estate, and we sponsor the Elevate 2025 conference.
Last year was extremely successful. We changed our venue, and our attendees responded really well to that. So we had a record attendance of over 80 attendees come on site, and coming away from that, about 70% of our attendees are minority. And about 60 are male right now. But there's so much energy in that room. And coming away from that day, we have about 5 people who have taken that next step and gotten job placements, and that are telling us about what they've done to grow since that day. Because that was the whole goal last year, take the next step. Yeah. So we've had a lot of people take the next step, and we've had people even get placed in jobs and increase their income since last year.
Elevate was inspired really by Car working with a lot of her clients a few years ago, and recognizing that there was a huge gap in income that existed between those who wanted to purchase a home, what the average income was for a single person versus the average price of a home, or the median price of a home. Really, we were focused on Hendricks County just because that's where our offices are. And recognizing that she really wanted to help the clients that she was working with be able to afford a home. And that meant increasing their income. So we thought, how could we help people elevate their income realistically, in a realistic time frame, that they wouldn't get burnt out, or it wouldn't take so long that they wouldn't see that it was doable. And so she came up with the idea of pulling together people from the community, experts really from the community, for the community, that really focused on short-term certifications or short-term education that would allow just anyone who was really interested in doing that to be able to do that, and hopefully increase their income to really 6 figures within a 2-year period.
Yep. So many stories of people trying to come in and elevate their income. So I would say most attendees are, right now, they are probably in a space where they're making about $40,000 to $80,000 maximum a year. A lot of people who are in manual labor, so in the manufacturing industries, but so many of them are actually coming from countries where they did have what we would call white collar jobs, right? But they've had to start a new life here, and they don't really know how to get back to what they were doing, but they have the knowledge. They even have the background education. They just don't know exactly what the path is. So that's a great deal of the attendees that come to Elevate. that's a huge focus for us this year. So the power of networking. And the reason that I say that is because it's a difficult job market right now. People who were directors are getting employed as, managers. Managers are getting, we all know this, right? So people who have easily gotten job offers before are having to do a lot more interviews to get the same offer. So we want to talk about that this year and meet people where they are. And also one way to overcome a difficult job market is the power of networking. It is expanding your connections, expanding your knowledge, and expanding who you know so that they can help you. We can help each other over those hurdles. So that's a huge part of what Elevate will be this year. Really, the qualification is commitment to your time, right? You got to commit about 4 hours on a Saturday. And if you're committed to that and you come with great positive energy, you qualify, okay? So we've got attendees that are brand new to Elevate, that have never come, and they are just interested. It's completely free. So we've removed the barrier of having to pay for it. And we have a lot of sponsors that we really appreciate coming alongside so that we can keep it free for people. Alongside that, we have attendees who have already reached that mark, who are making six figures, and they're like, Car, we're coming back because this was just, it's so energizing, it's so exciting, and we have new goals now. Now we're making six figures. Now we want to learn how to manage our wealth properly, or we want to know what to invest in. And we do have a workshop dedicated to exactly that this year. So we grow along with our attendees.
I feel like Indy especially, Indianapolis native, so I use Indy, but I feel like it's a great ecosystem for business and entrepreneurship, and it is continuing to grow. We attract so many even national organizations, companies to our spot. Little Indianapolis does a great job of that I feel like the buzz is very contagious, and we are growing more and more organizations connecting and wanting to really share the ability to expand our networks. And I think, I've been here for 30 years, been in real estate for 28 years. I've seen it continue to grow, and the collaboration, even from one industry to the next, it's really great. It's a really great community, and everyone should try to tap into that because it gives another dimension to whatever career or area you're looking to expand in. I think another thing we're going to see this year is a lot of young people. We've been talking to a lot of right out of high school, kids in college, and they just want guidance and direction on how do they take that next step. It has been so popular already with many of our just close friends who've got, young adults. And they just, they're looking for that, kind of support. So I think we're going to see a pretty good, explosion with young people. And so we're excited about that because how fun, to give them a whole different perspective on how to take the next steps in life.
And it's a great fit for youth who are looking for something that might not be a 4-year college or 4-year degree path. We know that is becoming more and more popular, that people are looking for that alternative. Sometimes 4-year degree is the perfect path. Sometimes they need other options. And what does that look like? Because they still want to be successful and be able to sustain, a future and be able to afford life financially. So it is a perfect fit for those who are looking for alternatives to a 4-year degree.
You will find information on our website about registering for this event. It is free. Just follow the QR code to get you there. Coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunities, we revisit our first accounting and bookkeeping segment from an expert whose advice still resonates today.
This Week in Business is made possible by Indy Biz Pass. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again. We are revisiting an accounting and bookkeeping segment this time from our first year. It's with Matthew Murphy III, who explains the importance of proper accounting and bookkeeping practices and common mistakes that new business owners need to avoid.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Commitment business planning, and then assembling great people. I've never met an entrepreneur who could do it all. Business is really about, it's just really another way of saying team. And you can assemble a good team, you have a chance to win. Across all businesses, all industries, the one common denominator is financial resources. The adequacy of that can make the difference in the growth.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Big part of running any successful business is letting people know who you are and how to find you. Elijah Norwood has some thoughts on that. He's a digital driving force here in our world, Circle City Broadcasting, Circulus Digital Media. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us today. Let's talk about that idea of being noticed. All of us have great ideas, we think, that we can bring to the business world. But there's this element, you got to let folks know who you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I always say obscurity is generally the problem. There are pretty much three key elements that businesses should focus on when thinking about marketing and advertising.
Walk us through them.
Visibility, so being seen, and then credibility. So we know consumers are looking for trust and reliability. And then the third will be frequency of messaging, right? You want to stay top of mind for brand awareness. So of course, if your product or service is the best, we need to know about it.
Let's talk a little bit about, this is a business-to-business show. We connect people. This is a business here. What you do is important to making sure we can continue to do this as well. So do a bit of business here. Talk about the product that we have an opportunity that may well serve some of our friends down the line, these featured listings.
Awesome, yeah. So our featured business listing is basically a way for us to spotlight small businesses on wishtv.com, which on average, Scott, receives about 1.6 million unique monthly visitors. And again, this is just a way for businesses to stand out, be seen, and then be positioned as the local expert in their industry.
Anybody you think it particularly fits well with, or is it possibly something that could benefit anybody?
It fits well mostly with businesses who are looking for local trust and local visibility. But some industries that come to mind are contractors, it could be financial advisors, it could be some home services, pretty much any industry, but those are the ones that we see generally taking advantage of this opportunity.
Let's start at the start line before we get to the finish line on this. Our friends may be watching going, I've never gone to that side of the camera before, that side of the keyboard before. How does this whole process start? I mean, it is a business deal. How do they get in contact with you or anybody else here?
Correct, so just reach out. You know, I'm available on LinkedIn at Elijah Norwood. My phone number is obviously one of the best ways, 317-874-0380, or again, by email, elijah.norwood@wishtv. But after that, it's just a free consultation. I'm always open to learning more about your business, hear some of your goals, and then we see if it's a good fit for the featured business directory. And what makes it a good fit is this, right? It's pretty simple. All we need is your logo, hours of operation, your phone number, basically all the things a client would need to get in contact with you, and then we can move forward from there and getting you listed.
There's so many times when we talk accounting and bookkeeping, when we talk about taxes, things like that, it's an area that initially we don't have any expertise on. Should we feel comfortable that in your case, for instance, you're not going to judge anybody for not understanding this. You kind of like to be the teacher on this, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, just as any other business owner, right? You want to be positioned as the expert in what you're doing, right? Same here. I want to be positioned as your strategic partner in marketing and advertisement. So it's kind of my job in an advisory standpoint to walk you through this process, tell you how it works, show you, this is the best way to position your product or service when thinking about becoming a part of our directory, right? Because what you also receive is a Lifestyle Live interview, right? That's our lifestyle TV show. And when you come on to our Lifestyle Live interview appearance, we want you to position your product and or service where it's comfortable, easy to understand, and then you're giving it directly to the audience.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's an interesting opportunity. May very well serve some of our folks down the line. A business connection that we've made for you today. Again, Elijah, thanks for spending time with us today. We have a personal interest in seeing that this thing goes well, so let us know as people sign on.
Absolutely.
All right, time for more business equity and opportunities. Coming up, we meet the father and son coffee roasters who not only brew a cup, but also build community relationships with every sip. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. In honor of the approaching Father's Day weekend, we wanted you to meet a local father and son who are not only co-owners of a successful business, they also lead a foundation dedicated to helping their community.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Well, we are in the Fletcher Place neighborhood of Indianapolis, quite near Fountain Square. And we named it Calvin Fletcher's Coffee Company because of Calvin Fletcher, who had a huge farm, of which this was part of it, called Woodlawn, and Woodlawn Street is down in Fountain Square. So we named it in honor of him.
Well, so it was my dad's idea originally to start the shop, and something people may or may not know is that we were really not coffee people before that, but my dad felt like the neighborhood needed a coffee place and needed a place where everybody could gather. So coffee felt like a good means by which we could do that. And then when we started, and this was, I give him credit for this but the goal from the get-go was everyone is welcome. So that translates to, like how we treat people when they come through the door, our interactions with them. We also want them to have like a really, really fantastic experience and a fantastic product, but we also want that to kind of like trickle out from us to like how we interact with our neighbors at large in Indianapolis.
My son was teaching in Kazakhstan English at the time, and when he came back from there, he did not know for sure what he was going to do, and so I knew we needed somebody, and he came along, and it's great because it's so much better because he has been a part of this. He's the one who felt like we needed to roast our own beans. One of our customers gave us $25,000 to buy a roaster, which was extremely generous, and so he's been roasting ever since. I would say I'll be very, I brag about him a lot. We have, if not the best, one of the very best coffees in the city, and I think a lot of our customers would say, oh, not one of the best, and so I'm very grateful for what he has done.
So yeah, we roast right in-house. The roaster's like straight back there. And then we have like a really fun menu. We create some really cool stuff. But also another element of what we do is we have a charitable foundation that partners with not-for-profits. And right now we actually are partnering with Exodus Refugee Immigration. They help settle and care for refugees who are here in Indianapolis. And yeah, so right now we're partnering with them, and we have a few ways that our customers can connect with Exodus and support what they're doing and support refugees here, and also, come in here and get a good cup of coffee. Small business is tricky, and there's no guarantee. And I think even to this day, we're a few years kind of outside of the pandemic. It still feels somewhat uncertain. So. I think as a small business owner, especially related to coffee, where the margins are slim, you don't know if you can always make a living. But I think what's kept me doing it is because A, it's fun, I enjoy it, but B, and the most important thing is like the connection to the community that it gives me. And I think, I had my first conversation with my wife here. I've made a lot of friends, gotten connected to a lot of people. I don't think I've ever felt connected to a neighborhood or a community in any way like I have now, and that's because of the shop. So yeah, I think that's kind of what keeps me going. And honestly, if my wife didn't have she's a teacher, so it's not like a high-paying job, but if she didn't have health care and things like that, I probably wouldn't be able to do it because the margins are slim, but I like it, and we've got really supportive neighbors and customers, and I like being here. Like a lot of things, yeah, we don't grow coffee in America. You can't. Coffee needs to be grown certain distance north or south of the equator, within a certain window, certain elevation, and United States doesn't meet that criteria, except for maybe Hawaii. But so all of our coffee is imported, and yeah, we've had very frank conversations with our importers about tariffs, and right now there's a 10% tariff on everything. That could fluctuate, so as I basically forward contract coffees, and every importer I've talked with is like, hey, the price, what you have now is this price. also add on a 10% tariff. That could change. We don't know. Just you got to be able to be prepared. We don't know what it's going to look like. So we've had other situations in the past where we've had price increases, things changed, like you mentioned, COVID, certainly like that caused every business, us included, to pivot in some way. And I think ultimately when I kind of strategize, I guess, I know, and because customers have expressed this, that customers are supportive of us, which is like, it speaks volumes of our customer base and of our neighborhood and our community.
I think community is vitally important. This neighborhood, Fletcher Place, the greater Fountain Square area, also the best community I've ever lived in. People genuinely care about each other. We wanted people to know that they were genuinely cared about. I believe with all my heart that we need community. We need each other. We don't always have to believe the same way or think the same way, but we really need each other. Where would we be in this world if we didn't have friendship, being a part of a community? Some of my best friends ever I've met here in the shop. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that.
Up next, take a look back at the history of White River State Park. The hour is drawing short. Time for a success story first, though. As part of Wish TV's year-long 70th anniversary celebration, we're taking a look back at the history of White River State Park, a success story that almost did not happen. It's a story of imagination and persistence told through the reporters and photographers who were there as it unfolded.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
White River State Park, which had been in the works by then for about a decade. For the rest of the area, especially on the side closer to downtown, there were plans aplenty, and they just kept changing.
Good family fun. That's what Knott's Berry Farm said it wanted to sell. And the White River Park Commission wanted a major money-making developer who could help pull the entire 200-plus acres together for the first time since the project was suggested in the mid-'70s.
Knott's wants to show it's done its homework to prepare the designs for White River Park, but this is why park leaders are really here.
To build and to sculpt a powerful new skyline that well reflects the pride, the power, and the dignity of your great state of Indiana.
We knew it was going to be some grandiose plan, and we had seen plenty of those that just didn't happen.
A signature building, which had come to be known as the Crystal Building, will probably not be built due to funding restrictions, admits the commission.
I think to try and get some momentum, they hold a big news conference, but they don't really have their finances set yet.
This went on for years.
Epcot took 15 years from inception till it opened, and it's still not completed. They're still working on it.
Weedman predicts White River State Park will be 80% finished by 1992 or 93.
And by the end of 1996, this is what the park should look like.
I think they finally got more practical, and I think in '92 they finally realized this can be an asset for the city, but we got to figure out something that we can really build and really make happen.
It seemed like momentum was finally on the commission's side, that this thing was really going to come together, and then September 11th, 1992.
911, what's your emergency?
Oh gosh, there's an airplane.
Airplane crashed at Arlington, we know. We got
no, 5 Points Road. 5 Points Road.
Yeah, it just fell out of the sky.
Two planes collided over Southport as one was taking off and the other attempting to land at Greenwood Airport. 6 were killed, 2 others survived but were badly injured. No one on the ground was harmed despite the wreckage landing in a neighborhood.
Sometimes you're so stunned, you being the neighbor, the person living there, maybe couldn't quite imagine what had just happened because they had wreckage in their neighborhood that should have been going overhead.
When we found out who was on this plane, that was a devastating blow to the business community here and the city of Indianapolis, just because of the leadership that was involved.
Former Deputy Mayor Michael Carroll, banking executive and Olympian Frank McKinney, Lotto Director John Welliver, and White River State Park Commission Executive Director Robert Welch, along with the pilots of both planes, all killed.
They had been studying different parks and different areas to put together the White River State Park.
When you lose that much brain power at one time, I think there is a concern for what's next.
Yeah, you thought that would be it. They were really important people in the future of the city.
Dreams for a better city, dreams for a better state, dreams for a better country, and dreams for a better world.
The White River State Park dream did not die that day. The commission kept on. The State Museum and the NCAA headquarters were built, the IMAX opened, an amphitheater rocked, and a memorial to the fallen was installed on the banks of the White River in the heart of the park they loved.
Whenever I'm down there now, I like it. I like it a lot. But I'm almost always reminded of what was gonna be. Ultimately, the city's just had some wonderful people with great vision, and they make things happen.
For more Wish-to-Re stories, visit the Wish TV website. On the homepage, you'll find Celebrating 70 Years of Wish TV with pages and stories and exclusive interviews from people who were there to witness and bring you the major stories of our time. We will be back next week with more information to empower and inspire you. A reminder, our show airs every Sunday, free, over the air on Wish TV and online at wishtv.com. We also post each of our 7 segments from this week and past episodes on our website. And be sure to catch our extended conversations now on the BE&O podcast, part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Thanks for spending this hour with us. Join us next week for more business equity and opportunities. Till then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great day.
Business, equity, and opportunities. Made possible by Fifth Third Bank, Indiana Black Expo, Gemco, Indy Biz Pass, Bose McKinney & Evans, Eskenazi Health, and Lilly, a medicine company.